Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everyone who is watching this video. So this is as part of my lecture series in International Trade and Investment course at Australian Maritime College, University of Tasmania. So today I'll be discussing about the module 4, which is the government intervention and regional economic integration. So how the government intervene in exporting or importing process, or how a government motivates to increase the import, to decrease the import, or to increase the export. So there's all the points will be discussed here in this lecture, in this module. And also we'll be discussing about the regional economic integration. So the countries or states are doing economic integration among themselves within the region, within the boundaries. So that will be discussed in this module. Okay. So without further ado, let's go and start. So firstly, we can see what are the focus question of today's module. So firstly, as I discussed in the beginning, that why do governments intervene in international trade and investment? So one thing I want to mention, when we are talking about trade, here we actually mean international trade. So why do governments intervene in trade and investment? This is our one of the focused question today. And another question is that how do governments intervene? How do governments intervene in trade and investment, and what are the consequences of this? Then we'll be exploring how should a farm respond to government intervention. How should farms respond to government intervention? Or that means what should be the stake of the farm to respond the intervention given by the government? And why do countries pursue regional integration and participate in economic trade and investment blocks? That will be actually discussing today. So we know there are four types of risk for international trade. One is cross-cultural risk, which we discussed in our second module. Another is commercial risk, currency risk, we will be discussing later. But today we'll be looking for the country or political risk. We all know that when a farm want to enter its expand its business to international trade, so they might face different types of risks. So one of them is country or political risk. If you see the first risk in the country and political risk is the government intervention and protectionism. That means government is protecting goods or services which are coming from the another country to their country. So government is protecting this. They can impose tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers, or for the companies who are intending to do foreign direct investment. Governments impose some investment barriers, and on the other hand, to revive the governments, they revive a country's own farm. Governments are giving subsidies. So subsidies and other government support are given to the farms to nurture the local farms. And government sometimes introduce some policies and laws which is in favor of the domestic farms. So this is also done by the government, and government sometimes intervene by way of ethical concern, by raising the concern like ethical perspective. So these are the good things for the domestic company. But when a farm want to enter into the foreign market, for them it is a risk. It is a risk. So we all know about it. Okay. So why do actually governments intervene? What's the motivation behind this? So there are broad motivations. So among them, we here pointed out four intentions of the government behind the intervention. Okay, so number one is generate revenue. So if government imposes tariffs on the imported product, so the government receives much revenue. So this is one of the one of the target of the government to generate the revenue. And this is actually primary motivation of the government. But sometimes this primary motivation is superseded by other intentions. So one of them is the safety, security, and welfare of the citizens of the state, because some of the products or some of the services which might cause the diseases, which might increase the security issues, or which might decrease the welfare of the citizens of the country. So in that case, government try to intervene, try to implement some measures to protect the trade. So this is the second intentions, we could say. And this is also, it is prevalent about the, to get the political notions, political motive. So sometimes government pursue, not sometimes, there is actually, it is very much prevalent. So sometimes government pursue intervention like to the for gaining the economic and political and social objectives. So if we see the US China war in terms of trade war, so it's like a political intervention, political objectives they are doing, so to gain the superpower ship the one country over another. And also in terms of providing the interventions on Russia is to stop Russia to not to go for war between Russia and economy. Also, some countries, they're intervening, or they are providing some imposes on the Israeli products to stop Israel to have the fight between Palestine and Israel. So, like these are the issues which sometimes government issue uses to stop, to the purpose of economic, political, and social objectives. And most importantly, and which is to save the local farms, like industrial interest, or the serve the local company. So sometimes government intervene this protection, or like different types of measurement government introduce. So let's see what are the rationale for government intervention. So there are, it has been divided into, one is defensive, that means to protect themselves. Another is offensive, to go forward. So the defensive rationales are, I discussed early, but it is like also here to protect the national economy. This is one of the things, to protect the interest of the national economy and to protect the infant industry. So infant industry are the industries which are in a formative stage, like in the new stage, they are trying to gain the market, they are trying to explore the market in the local environment. So if another giant company is coming from outside, like this company cannot survive. So that's why government intervene some measures to protect the infant, like the child industry. And also discussed about the national security, as discussed early, the national culture and identity, which is very important. Sometimes some companies are coming, and they are they're firstly doing the business, and this is the way they are changing the culture of the local people. So if we go back to the history of the Indian in Indian subcontinent. So the British firstly came as a trader in the form of tradesman, international trader, and they established East India Company. Before that, Dutch East India Company was established, but the British established East India Company. But this is the way throughout the time they have, gained the control of the border, and then they gain the control of the whole constituency, and also they change the culture of the local people. So that's why it is very common in many countries to stop the trade, because sometimes it is imposing the culture and identity. So some other rational some other some other perspective, which is called the offensive, like that means this is forwarding. So like to get the national strategic priorities. So like government sets some priorities for the some industries. By way of intervening, they are gaining it. And another is increasing the employment. It's very crucial. Sometimes some international firm come, or international product come. So because of this coming or of the international firm, some two governments are losing the employment. So this is another reason. So this slide is very crucial. What are the toolbox? What are the tools governments use to get the protectionism? So the first one is about the tariff. Tariff. This is a tax imposed on imported products. So firstly, it is tariff is on imported products. Very important. So what are the features? Like it increases the cost of the importer, the exporter, and usually the buyer of the product. Okay, and discourages products imports and generate government revenue. This is very crucial. As for example, we can say Japan charges 16%. Japan charges 16 sorry, Japan charges 16% tariff on imported agricultural products. And also Bolivia, Latin American countries, they charge 40% tariff on the most, like apparel and footwear industry. So it is customized. It is customized. This is the most common way, or the common tool governments are using. And then the second classification is the non-tariff trade barriers. So the first one is quotas. So in this way, government set a quantitative restrictions on the imported products during a specific period of time. So let's say in USA, government said the quota, okay, we can maximum in import 25% sugar of the whole sugar requirement yearly from this year to this year. So, but it gives early importers. It gives early importers monopoly power. Like the importers who buy early, they get the monopoly power, and they get the ability to charge the higher price. Like harm the late importers, the importers who buy it late. So it's usually results in higher prices to the buyer ultimately. As for example, we can say like Nigeria Nigeria maintains a quota on the import of frozen fish. So they have a quota of import of the frozen fish. China imposes quota on the amount of foreign programming shown on the Chinese TV channels. So it is the Chinese the quotas. Okay, you cannot show, you cannot publish, you cannot broadcast at the foreign channels not more than this percentage. And import license, sometimes government impose the import license. Okay, if you want to have the product in this country, that we want to import this, you have to have the license, and governments are giving let's say some people to the license, maintaining some condition and this and that. And another is the local contents requirement. So requirement that farms include a minimum percentage of locally sourced imports in the production of a product or services. So if government sets some specific requirement, if you want to produce, let's say, laptop in Australia, you need to use at least this hardware and software from the Australian companies. So this is called the local content requirement. This is another way of non-tariff trade barriers. So it discourages imports of raw materials, parts, and supplies. and then which hampers manufacturers sourcing option and may result in higher cost, and finally the buyer will bear it. So let's say for example, I can share with you like at least 30% of the value of the telecommunication equipment produced in Indonesia must be from the parts or the other inputs from the Indonesian companies, like Indonesian local companies. So 30% should be from there. Another is the government regulation and technical standards. Government sets some regulations, especially for the safety, healthy, and technical regulations, like leveling requirements. You have to do this and that. It hinders the entry of the imported products and reduce the quantity available here products. So, as for example, I can give you a fresh example regarding Saudi Arabia. They bans imported or imports of the alcohol and gambling devices. And also the EU require extensive testing on various imported chemicals. In Australia, if you want to have you want to bring some items, seeds and this and that, and you have to go a strict and thorough security check. So this is another way. And administrative or bureaucratic procedure, which is another types of non-tariff trade barriers. So it's a very complex procedure, and its requirement requires imposed on the importers or foreign investors that hinder trade and investment. So this is a very important also procedure as a non-tariff trade barrier. So as per example, like Russia imposes extensive in inspection and bureaucratic procedure on the import of alcoholic beverages. So this is an example Russia imposes. So these are the non-tariff trade barriers. So let's go to see how sometimes government also intervene to protect the investment. So like foreign direct investment or any company want to have the ownership by way of collaboration with another company. So this is why government also imposes some investment barriers. Like this is the rules like that the limit the ability of foreign firms to invest in certain industries or acquire local firms. So as for example, like in Switzerland, foreign owned insurance companies must be managed by a Swiss national, or most board members should be from the European Union. So this is the like an investment barriers. And other like subsidy, so and other government supports. This is governments are doing as like offensive rationales we discussed earlier, like to have the control or to protect the local industry and to appreciate the local industry to go forward. So government sometimes give subsidies, like Turkey gives export subsidies up to 20% to local producer of wheat and sugar. This is an example. And also like government of China, they're giving subsidies by way of financing, mezzanine financing, I think, with the Chinese ship building companies. And another example is about the dumping. Dumping means, let's say, any companies are coming to India or China. Let's say any tech company, and they're producing laptops or smartphones. So the local companies are also there. So the foreign companies are coming with, let's say, per laptop, standard laptop $500, and the local companies are providing the same thing by $400, taking the help from the governments. So this is they're reducing the price. It is called the dumping. And also sometimes government give the investment incentives. So in Bangladesh, if any company they are investing in hill tracts areas or the far away from the local cities, so they are getting some investment incentives in terms of tax benefits or tax holidays by the name of this and that. So these are the very important. So we discussed about the tariff and non-tariff trade barriers. We discussed about the investment barriers. We discussed about the subsidies and other government support and programs. So these are the slide which explained what I have discussed here. I will not go through now this section. So here have a look. We see how imports are working. So if you see the Australia, they impose 1.2% in agricultural products, and non-agricultural 2.6%. They have the general import tariff. In Brazil, they have like the same. In the United States, they have 5.2% of the of tariff on the agricultural product and 3.1%. But if you see in India, to protect the farmers of India, they are imposing too much tariff on the agricultural products, like 39%, almost 40%, and almost 15% they're imposing non-agricultural products like different manufacturing items. So here, this slide is showing, the rate of the uh, tariffs, average tariffs between advanced economies like USA, Canada, Japan, and also the developing economies like India, China, Vietnam. So if we see over the time from 1983 to now, the average tariff is reducing. So which gives us the notion that the gives us the notion that these the tariffs rate are decreasing, and trade protectionism is actually decreasing. But if you see the latest scenario in 2025, you will see this has been increased in too much little bit because of the tax or tariff import imposed by President Donald Trump in the USA to many countries, and as a retraction, as a reaction, many countries like Mexico and Canada, India, they have also increased the tariff to the. You see, 2019 little bit flux influx because of the in 2018. President Donald Trump, he imposed some tariffs on China and other countries. So this is the case, and we also see a very good picture that the relationship between tariffs and the world trade and the volume of the world trade. So if we see this line and slightly ash color, they indicate the world trade and also the world exports. So world trade is increasing at the same time, and world export is increasing, and the average tariffs is decreasing. So when the average tariff rate is decreasing, that means which appreciates to have the much world trade. So these are the quizzes to test yourself. I'll not go there. So how can farm respond to the government intervention? A farm. Now we'll be discussing about a farm specific. So they can firstly do a research to gather the knowledge and intelligence. What could be happen if we enter into there? So what will be happening? Like how much it is to be in these days. It's very much important to have the research on it. So if we enter into the Indian market, what could be the repercussions? What could be the outcomes? By way of doing research, then the farm can choose the most appropriate entry strategies. So we will discuss about the entry strategy in our latest chapter. We have different entry strategy, like we can enter as an export, we can enter as a franchising company, we can own a company directly by investment, which is called the foreign direct investment. We can also have the joint collaboration, like joint venture from the local company and this company. So different entry strategies are there. So, and when our research is completed, then we will be deciding which strategy we'll follow, and then we will take the advantage of the foreign trade zones, like as a farm. Sometimes some zones and some areas, they give the benefit. So we can explore, as a farm can explore this. Then seek favorable customs and classifications for exported products. So this is also important. For the countries which are exporting to another country, they might seek like the government, should the government give any subsidy or any benefits if they export this product, because export is normally good for international trade, and then take advantage of the government intensive and support program which governments are providing. Sometimes it is very important to lobby for freer trade and investment, especially the big companies who has the good influence over the government of a state. They can implement this to get the freer trade and investment or benefits. So here we'll see the regional economic integration, so which refers to the growing economic interdependence among the nations within a geographic region. Like they can form alliance or they can reduce the barriers for trade and investment. So it shows over 50% of the world trade are these days done through the form of trade agreements. So, like the nations are cooperating to increase the product choices, productivity, living standard, to reduce the prices of the product, or to have the more efficient resources. So this is some of the very prominent economic bloc has been seen. The most one is the European Union, we can say, and then we have also the USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement, Mercosur, which is a common trade area in the Latin American countries. Initially, four countries started, then many countries have joined. Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, which is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, which includes the countries within the Pacific area, Asia and the Europe, Asia and North America. And Canada is also there, Australia is also there, ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So they have the free trade agreement, and many others like South Asian Free Trade Agreement, SAFTA, this and that. So based on this, the researchers classified this regional integration into five levels. I'll finish my lecture by discussing this. So this is the first one, is called the free trade area, meaning they have their free trade within them. They have their free trade within them, but they have the different treatment for the countries, external countries. So the countries, like they can freely trade within them. They can freely trade within them, but with regards to external dealing, so they have the different treatment. Let's say USA, Mexico, and Canada. They have the USMCA agreement. So they have the free trade agreement among them. But if Mexico want to trade with Japan, Mexico will have their different trade policy. So this is the most common and the initial type of the regional integration. These days we see example of the USMCA, EFTA, ASEAN, CER, like Australia and New Zealand, closer economic relationships. So this is the first step. The second, it is extended level. So it is very easy. It is just one step extended to the free trade area, which is this, the customs union. They have the same treatment like free trade area, like they have the free trade among the integrated countries. But unlike free trade area, they have the similar treatment to the foreign countries, to the external countries. So like let's say Mercosur is an example. So Latin American countries, Brazil, Argentina, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, these are the countries which are a member of Mercosur. So they have the free trade among them. Furthermore, for the external countries, let's say the Brazil wants to have the business with trade with Japan. So Brazil will have the same tariff policy which Argentina and Uruguay have the same foreign strategy to another country. So this is actually the called customs union, like mean the which is like they have the same type of uh, same type of the identical type of tariff policy, trade policy to external countries. Okay, and the third one is the called the common market. So in the common market system, like the countries are having the same like the customs and the free trade, but they have their easy facets of like land, products, labor, capital, everything. Like they have the one bank can invest to another bank, the labor to one country would go another country. Like these days, it has been seen European Economic Union, like a few years ago. So before 90, this forming the latest European Union, they have the common market. So at that time, they have the common market, and then labor from Hungary, Czech Republic, they used to come to Germany to do the work and gain the higher salary. But the third one is the economic and monetary union. They are further extended than common market. Apart from having the free trade among them, apart from having the common tariff policy, common sorry, common tariff policy. Sorry, just a minute, please. Okay, a common tariff policy for the external countries, and then also apart from having the easy facets of trade and that low level, sorry, labor, products, and capital, they have the same economic policy like fiscal policy and monetary policy. So these days, the European Union exhibits like the example of common economic and monetary union. But political union, it is not so far in action. Like they have the perfect unification, the same of all policies by a common organization, like submersion of all separate national institutions. So these are the five level of economic integration. Four level we see still in existence in the world, but the fifth one we don't see so far. So these are the discussion which I have done here, levels of economic integration, and we see the most active economic blocks are here in the world. So that's how these are the question to test yourself. We have few more slides, like we discussed about the European Union in this slide, like how Union are working in terms of like they have the different factories and different countries and they are trading. I can share you a very brief example. I used to stay in Sweden. So Sweden, I used to stay in Malmo. They have the port, Malmo port, and this is very close to Copenhagen, which is the capital of Denmark. So Malmo port, they stopped their working and they collaborated with Copenhagen port. So they it Copenhagen Malmo port (CMP), and the products or cargo, like the commodities which is for inbound for Malmo, which are coming to the Copenhagen port. So this is the European community these are doing. So these are the examples and the examples of NAFTA, which is now USMCA, North American Free Trade Agreement, Canada, Mexico, and the United States, which is in a very great great what can I say, distress because of the some decisions taken by the President Donald Trump in terms of imposing tariffs on Mexico and Canada. So the future, we are not sure about this agreement. And this is the Mercosur of the Latin America I have discussed earlier, well, launched in 1998 by the four countries like Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay. So other economic blocks are there. So this is all for today's lecture. Thank you very much to participate and pay attention. Thank you.